Islam.
Islam.
Islam. All right. Grand rising to all the Moors here. And we're going to rise and do the Moorish prayer. We're going to face east. We're going to face east and put our feet at a 45-degree angle. 5 fingers on the left-hand side, 2 peace fingers on the right-hand side. And if you would repeat the Moorish prayer after me, I will wait until, everyone catches up. All right, so Islam, Islam, Islam.
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 Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father in the universe.
The Father of love.
The Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By
Night.
night.
And by day.
And by
By
day.
day.
Through his holy prophet.
Prophet.
Through Ali.
Through Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Islam. You can be seated now. All right. Islam. Salvation, Allah, unity. The Moorish Holy Temple of Science, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because it was on a Friday that the first man was formed in flesh and on a Friday when the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Moorish Holy Temple of Science. No member is to put in danger or to accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government. Because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality in divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folk, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part of and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all the necessities of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husbands you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their body clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God, Allah. Islam. Moorish Science Temple of America, Home Office 3603, Indiana Avenue. Noble Drew Ali, founder. Chicago, Illinois, January 18, 1929. To be proclaimed in every meeting. Dear brother, Islam, I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy, quote unquote, about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as an American citizen. They are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me, so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that contribute to the movement and uplifting funds, the ones that pay their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it bad. Never before have I needed finance as badly as I do at present, that I may shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my quote-unquote fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without me, the prophet, being the head. It has been proven by my work in which I have performed in the last few months, because I was at the governor's inauguration to represent the Moorish Divine and National Movement, and I will be at the inauguration of President Hoover for the same cause, Noble Drew Ali. Islam, you read the divine warning?
Islam. Divine warning by the Prophet. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. By order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam.
Islam. Chapter 25, the covenant of the Asiatic nation. You are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother have given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thine own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. All right. Are there any, that's the opening. Are there any questions, comments, concerns, interjections? Oh, I do have one thing. Are we getting that book? Have most of us online, have we gotten the book, the A Mystical Key to the English Language? I just want to make sure that, you know, we're on a same, sort of like on the same page, you know? Islam?
Islam. I ordered it about since a week before last, but I haven't received it in the mail yet. So I'm still waiting on it.
Islam. Anybody else?
I have mine.
All right. Anybody else? All right.
I have mine.
All right.
I have mine.
Islam. All right. Islam. I was just checking. All right. So let's. I said I was going to walk the 101. I do. All right. So are there any questions, comments, concerns, or interjections right now? Let me, start it off. How I've been starting it off. Are there any comments, concerns?
Yes. Islam.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear the divine warning by the prophet, I just think to myself, what would we think if someone said that today? If someone said what he said today and said that divine warning today, what would we think of them? That's just a thought. I just thought I would put that out there because when I hear it, just so much goes through my mind, with regard to all that we do and all that we are and everything, Islam, I yield.
Islam. And so, the prophet does speak through us, because my comment has always been, have you been introduced to the prophet? Because he says that, and I think in oral statements and prophecies, if you lay on your stomach, and put your head in the pillow, you can contact him, And so, have we all met the prophet, because he brought it to us because he said, I'm a universal prophet and my philosophy will be universal. But he brought it to us Moors here because we needed it the most, because we had fallen the furthest from any other society. We had fallen the furthest. And so he's bringing and reminding us that, through the proclamation to be to be proclaimed in every meeting, he's reminding us, the hard and arduous struggle that he went through to bring this back to us so that we could, claim our light again, because we all agreed, all that are on this call, we all agreed to come back and make that sacrifice for the age of man and for the growth of man. We all decided. We came from our starships, on our starships, and we're here. We're stars. We're lights. This is, we're to bring the light. And like I think the other day at one of the court hearings, it says, will Jesus return? Yes, Jesus means justice, so justice has returned. And all these justices are on the phone right now. I hear all these justices, and they're doing their justice, they're doing all this, the justice, bringing justice. So, yeah, Jesus has returned. Justice has returned. Islam?
Excuse me. This is Melo. I kind of had some of the same thoughts Empress Light was saying when I'm listening to that, and I think in terms of if you did hear somebody saying some of those similar things today, the thoughts that I would have is because there are different folks out there who are within mosque, temple, church, whatever, and they're saying things like, it only comes through me, I'm the only one, and I need finances and I need it back. Well, traditionally, when I've been around and you've heard the preachers or so forth and say things like that,
you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying.
Right.
I'm not taking anything away from the prophet at all whatsoever, because I honor him, okay, and I honor his word. But I'm also one that always just emphasizes to people that was a century ago, okay, and we still honor all of our ancestors regardless. But we have to remember that there are other prophets. There are many prophets. There are prophets today. We are prophets, okay. But like I said, is that remember you said that a lot of the people on the call at different points in their understanding.
Yes.
Some are freshman, junior, or sophomore, junior, whatever. And so then sometimes we have to be sensitive to that. There those who are coming in. They may look at it from that same viewpoint, okay? And every time when we're reading that every time, and we're saying, it's from the prophet, and some of the people they get on some of us, and they say, well, Noble Drew Ali didn't say to do that, and Noble Drew Ali didn't say to do this. Well, my response to that is, well, he never told us to use computers and internet either. And why is that? Why is that? Because they weren't there. So whatever the tools and everything that was around, he did whatever and spoke and said, considering that most of the things that are said are contributed to him. We don't know because we weren't there, so we just take for granted that was the case. Most of us know, if something resonates with us or not, vibrates with us. So just taking into consideration some of those things. We have, just. I was a video that was out that I posted. It was what we all Moors need to know, and I'm only bringing this up because it was by Jonathan Bay, and I've had talks with him. He's a Moor. I've had talks with him about a year ago, and he brings out the fact that we Moors, we're focused on the Islamism. But Moors, there are Moors who are of the Baha'i faith. There's Moors who are Buddhists. There's Moors all over the world. Okay.
Islam.
So, and we're saying that just so I'm getting an understanding that we're not saying this is the only creed. If we're saying that, then that's something that I kind of I don't want to make a big issue out of it, but I do kind of take issue with that. Because we're still Moors, we're still family, we all, and so just so we know, this is just one part, or just what we're focusing on, as far as this creed and Noble Drew Ali, but acknowledging that there are others, correct?
Islam. Yes, Islam. You want to add something else on to that, or you want me to comment?
No, I yield. I'm sorry. I yield. I talked enough. I yield.
All right. So it is incumbent upon me, because when you ask the questions, I will answer them. All right. So I was going to go over that document so that you get the gist. Little by little, I want you to ask me these questions so we can go over them term by term, line by line, find out the gematria in there, the numbers, what's going on in it, what the prophet was communicating, because he did go to the mystery schools. He went to the mystery schools, and if there's something deeper, as we say, Islam is given in degrees, all right? And so I've been warning, people to say, what do you mean by that, Lala? What does that mean? I've been waiting because I wanted to go over that, but I wanted to do first the 101s, go through that. And then, each thing that you question me about, I want to go over it. I want for you to understand why he wanted that letter to be proclaimed at every meeting and what he's talking about, talking about he wants finance, because that word finance is in all capital letters. So, you can't hear me say, when I say finance, you're not hearing me say capital F, capital I, capital N, capital A, capital N, capital C, capital E. Finance. I'm just saying finance, the term finance. But there's a specific reason why he designed the things he designed and what he was trying to communicate to Moors, all right? Why, because it's Christians and Moors. It's been that battle for ages, Christians and Moors, Christians and Muslims. It's been that battle. But I desire to go over that with you. I do. But I was just trying to keep it in a certain format, going over the 101. Then I wanted to do the 102s because you may know you have the 102s. I wanted to go over that, and I do want to go over each document so you do understand what the prophet was giving you, because I've been going in it. I've been working through it, so that you can know what he gave to you. So I do want to do that.
Well,
if you want me to tell me to do it one lesson, one week, one Wednesday, I will go over it. I will.
I know that during that time, with regard to finance, during that time, we got to remember that the systems were changing, just like they just changed back. And they were, the Albions were introducing their system of fiat.
Imposing.
The fiat system.
Imposing.
And so that, I could see where that statement would come from, and that was right before 1933. The quote unquote Great Depression, et cetera, all of that. That's, so I see where that's coming from. Right. And we don't know when our prophet was here, we do not know whether that word was in all capital letters when he said it. He could have meant gold-backed lawful currency.
Right.
Or he could have meant fiat. We don't know.
Or people. Or people.
Yeah.
Because the people are the finance. They're the ones that generate the finance. The people are the finance.
Yeah.
So, we have to look at each word because, sometimes we assume that we know certain words and you come to find out, I don't know it at all. Because it's just like not to cut your wisdom, but like the first question, who made you? And it says the answer is Allah. All right, so I looked up the word who. And the word who, according to the 1828 dictionary, it means which of many. And so make is the present tense, made is the past tense of make. And so when I looked up the word make, it says to represent, to form, to constrain. There's 30 definitions for the word make in itself. So, we have to go beneath, what seems to be the surface. You have to go beneath the surface to find out what the true jewels are there. So, which of many represent you? Allah. So, which of many constrain you? Allah. Which of many form you? Allah. So, there's a depth that has to be fathomed in order to get to the meaning, because we are assuming that we know things, and as under this colonization, they have restructured everything, they have reconstructed everything. So the words we think that we know, just like even the word of, do we know the word of? I mean the term of. Do we know the term the? Do we know the term constitution? Do we know these terms? We assume certain things, and that's how come, we all must be scholarly and get them dictionaries out so that we can press all the juice that's there that the prophet was giving us. Because that's why I was starting with one, and I still haven't gone over the additional laws in the back of the 101, nor have I demonstrated our authority. I haven't gone through that. That's because he said, I brought you everything to save the nation, now take it and save yourself, which was the two two pamphlets that he had, which was the 101 and the Circle 7. But I have yet to even plumb the true depths of what's going on. Even myself, every time I go over this, I'm finding something that new and fresh that I didn't find that first time I went there. That's how come I was sharing with my son and saying, let's walk 101 miles. Let's walk, because as the Circle 7, says the master paves the way, and all who follow that know that his footsteps have been clearly cut. and you know that you can follow that way because it's been clearly cut. I think that's chapter 5, where it says the master has. Yeah, let's see if you will allow me. Let's see. That's chapter 5. Is that 5? I think it's 5. Because he was, the master. Let me see.
Take your time.
All right. Yeah, all right. I beg your pardon, it's chapter 4, all right? Verse 16 in this book that I have. It says, I'm going to read 14 through 16. Men or minds, because man is mind, men need a pattern for their lives. They love to follow and not to lead. The man or mind who stands upon the corners of the paths and points the way but does not go is just a pointer, and a block of wood can do the same. The teacher treads the way on every span of ground. He leaves his footprints clearly cut, which all can see, and be assured that he, their master, went that way. So if you follow the path and the footsteps that you can see, it's not like in those normal 501c3 buildings where the preacher says, do as I say, not as I do, and he'll be doing all kinds of things, whatever he chooses to do, which might be in opposition to the moral compass of what a church would be. But he's saying that the master the teacher has clearly cut that way. He's gone that way. So, like I say, I'm trying to share with you what Noble Drew Ali has left us. Like I said, I have not read the additional laws. I have not read our authority, which is very critical if you understand our authority. Some of the things that we're doing wouldn't have had to be done, but I'm finding some of the things that I've done in the past are obsolete now. They're obsolete. I did all that paperwork. I must have about 7 or 8 reams of paper downstairs in my office with, all the writs and all the affidavits and all the documents and all the cost schedules and all the complaints that I sent out, all the paperwork. It's irrelevant now. I'm seeing it. But being manifested in the Moorish American consulate. That activity, I don't got to do the same thing that I did before, but I walked that way because, I knew that I had to go that way because it's incumbent upon us for the individuation to know who we are, to know, why we're here, because like it says, who made you? And then, like I said, don't just leave it at who made you. Go deeper. Go deeper than who. What is who? Who is who? Which of many? I'm looking up the word who. Means which of many. Which of many made you? Which of many constrained you? There's 30 definitions for the word make. 30. So, can you, do you understand the plumbing, the depth of what we can find out, what we can squeeze out of this energy from this information, and how it would take us to our next level of consciousness, our higher consciousness, our higher selves. So, like I said, I broke this down when I went through these 101s, and I said, well, let me do the alphabet through it. Let me do the numbers through it. All right, so 1 equals A equals 1. All right, and so I'm looking at the word A in the a mystical key to the English language. It's A means ox, the word ox, and that's a sacrifice. And with what we know, we must be willing sacrifice to help sustain the age of man, or the age of mind, or the growth of men, or the growth of mind. That's our job, because how must we change the people? We must change the literature. In other words, how do you change the people? You must change the literature. So it's incumbent upon us all, to put something down on the record, for the record, let the record reflect that we left our mark here for 7 generations down. 7 generations down. Because if you think it's 1776, I'm thinking that's 7 generations. That's more than 7 generations since 1776. You know, when our ancestors helped write that Constitution in the first place, you know, to preserve, protect, and secure our unalienable and inalienable rights. You know, so unalienable is life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Inalienable is your right to life, liberty, and property, intellectual property, whatever property, hereditaments, whatever it is. So I yield. Are there any questions? Comments?
This is Sister Energy on the line. It's Delilah. If there's any more reading that needs to be done, I'm here with all my materials. I yield the floor.
Islam. Sister Nalo, did I explain to you? I do want to go over that. I want you to see the meaning of the depth of what the prophet was going through, why he was asking for finance, why he was doing these things. You know, it's out there. It's out there. The information. There's records to demonstrate, you know, what he was doing, what was going on. You know, because there was a bunch of Moors that you know today, like J.A. Rogers. He was there amongst them. All right. Marcus Garvey was there. You know, Daddy Grace was there. Father Divine was there. Ward Farad, I think. Elijah Poole Bey, better known as Elijah Muhammad. They were all there. And Deuce Ali. They were all there formulating and forming the platform from which we are standing right now. So are there any questions?
Islam interest, just so you know that I wasn't saying that's what he was doing. I was just putting it out there that when because Empress Light mentioned that if somebody were hearing that today, some of those things, that would go through their mind. That's all. But my other thing was I was just trying to get a point across as far as you know, what we're learning and what we're going through. You know, there's a lot of teaching that you still, you know, you have to come. But I was just getting a point across that this is what we're going through. I've been through so many, you know, transitions with everything, and as far as, you know, the churches, temple, mosque, all these things, and studies and everything. It's just that sometimes you have a group that focus on, you know, just like in churches, they have a denomination. Everybody wants to pick a certain point or certain issue or whatever it be, political, social, or whatever, focus on that, and then they create another creed out of it, or they create another denomination, and then and which is fine, except they focus on and they say that ours is the only way, there's no other way, and everybody else is wrong. That's the only point I was trying to make. Okay, because I'm an all-inclusive. I'm not an either-or. I'm an all-inclusive. And everybody doesn't have to be like I am. But anyway, I appreciate what you're doing. So I'm going to let you keep teaching. I mean, I'm not against anything that you said. So I love you. I love you like that. I love you, Sister Nalo. I love you. I love you, Sister Nalo. You the bomb. You the bomb. You know. All right. I'm gonna share a little more. I'm gonna share a little more. Islam. I yield.
Islam.
Go ahead, Justice.
Islam, welcome.
Yeah, I have a question. I heard Empress Light mention something prior to the beginning of this session, and coincidentally, I just happened to be thinking about it last night, and it's in the question book is question 42. Said, what is the covenant of the great God Allah? Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth land, which the Lord thy God Allah has given thee. And those last three words stuck with me. Has given me. So he has given us this earth because he said we can live forever in this body. So, so that's what, because in my mind I was thinking that even though we are going through this test here, this earthly experience, and that when we do complete this test, that we would be like Jesus. We would be able to transmute, but we can, my question is, we'd be able to leave here and go other places and come back. So that's part of my question throughout this cosmos.
Islam.
We did that. We do it all the time.
Go ahead, sister. Go ahead,
sister.
We did that
to even get here.
Mm-hmm.
We came from someplace else to come here, and then, you know, at will we go where we want to go. And then with regard to these temples, these bodies that we have.
That's right.
Believe it or not, and it's really not about belief. This is science. This is truth. These bodies can live forever when everything is all natural. Okay, because we are made of that which is permanent. We are fearfully and wonderfully made.
Islam.
And so all that we see around us is made of the same thing when you talk about the earth. And the earth has been here, and again, there never was a time when we were not. That's why no matter what was tried, we're still here. But again, when we take in all that is natural, and that's actually, we're actually moving in that direction right now, because a lot of the things that came with the Albion, they only brought things that were not good for our natural bodies. That's why they were shifting everything to genetically modified this, that, and the third, that which is not natural, etc., because they have to live on stuff that's not natural, because they're not natural. And that's not an indictment of any kind. It is just the truth.
That's true.
We are natural, and when we consume all that is natural, that's why our prophet talked about keeping our bodies clean with water. When we do that, and I'm telling you, if we all drank enough water, because water is natural, if we all drank enough water, we would never be sick at all, ever. Never. If we drank more water than we ate, than the amount of food that we eat, we would actually, that would, because we're really natural filters. And when you continue to filter, disease cannot set itself up in your body. And so we do live longer when we, and we live, I mean, you know, those years in the Bibliotheliotech where Methuselah lived to, you know, 1200 or however long, 900 years or however long, that's one of us. And we that was when everything was natural. There were no Albions here. And I'm not indicting Albions. We love them. We created them. That's why we love them. But what I'm saying is that when we take in that which is made for us, we can live a long time. You know, even in our sleep, they used to say, black don't crack. You know, even in our sleep. We don't say that now, but Moors don't crack. You know, when we are, and we're moving into that. You know, we're moving into all of that. But anything that's not in its natural form is already tampered with. You know, and so we're moving towards that. Islam, I yield.
Islam, I just wanted to make it. Dr. Alim from the Washita, I remember him doing teachings and making a statement. He said that there was a time when we actually our bodies, we didn't actually take in food. It wasn't really made at that time for us to eat the actual food, and said that over time, because we did, at what point our ancestors did, your body evolved, and so it adjusted. We created certain things to adjust to our body, for the to hold the intake and for the to expel those things in our body. I don't remember any facts or anything he gave to that effect, but I'll just throw that out there. That's something that he said to us as far as the eating of the food.
Islam. And Sister Nalo, to add to you were talking about all the prophets. It's on our nationality card that we get from the temple. We honor all divine prophets: Buddha, Confucius, Noah, Judah. Noah, and I don't have the card in front of me, but we honor all prophets, all divine prophets, by way of example, on the last page of the Circle 7, it says, verse 11, last
chapter. We are trying to uplift fallen humanity. Come and link yourselves back with the family of nations. We honor all truth and divine prophets. On our cards it says we honor all prophets: Buddha, Confucius, and Jesus.
Yeah. We honor all prophets, and then I think it's chapter 11 where everyone sees Allah in from their perspective. You got to honor that, and that's what the Republic is about. That's why we got to return to the Republic, because we honor all beings, all sentient beings. Everyone has their right.
Chapter 10.
Yeah, chapter 10.
That's chapter 10.
All
people
10.
worship Allah, the one, but all people see him not alike. That's verse 13. 14, the universal Allah is wisdom, will, and love. 15, all men see not the triune Allah. One sees him as Allah of might, another as Allah of thought, another as Allah of love. Continue.
And so, because the parabim, the Hindus, the parabim.
Yes.
Parabim.
Okay, 16. A man's ideal of God. A man's ideal is his God. And so as man unfolds, his God unfolds. Man's God today, tomorrow is not God. 17. The nations of the earth see Allah from different points of view. And so he does not seem the same to everyone. 18. Man names the part of Allah he sees, and this to him is all of Allah. And every nation sees a part of Allah, and every nation has a name for Allah. 19. You Brahmas call him Brahm. In Egypt he is called Thoth. And Zen is his
Zeus.
name in Greece. Zeus.
Zeus.
Well, I got
Zeus.
Z-E-N. Okay, did I have a misprint? Because it says Z-E-N-S. Okay, so Zeus is his name in Greece. Jehovah is his Hebrew name. But everywhere he is the causeless cause, the rootless root, from which all things have grown.
Islam. Thank you. Islam. So that's that's what a republic is. It allows for all. It's not discriminatory. It allows for all. So long as you do no harm to others. That's the whole piece. You don't do any harm to others. That's why 1 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7 through 9. Law is for the lawless, those who don't have law. And if we know that we are all law, Allah. If we know that there's no doubt or contradiction that, we're going to do the righteous thing no matter what. Now, the point of the matter is that we came here to do a certain thing, which was to sacrifice for the age of man, for the growth of man. We came here to do that so that man could grow, so that mind could grow during this age. And this age is the age of Aquarius. So, any other questions? I yield. Any other questions?
Islam. To camel back on what you were saying, well, I'm going to put a pin in that. the camelback on what the sisters were saying earlier about the water intake. And that's something that I know that I do on a great abundance. And I do realize that, yeah, when I look at it, especially with those that are my contemporaries in my neck of the woods, the kind of water that I do just insist on taking in, if it's not distilled water, which a lot of people are against distilled water, but as long as you fortify that water, because all you're doing is drinking the condensation that has been, so you don't have any of those byproducts that come from the water treatment plants that are coming through your faucets and paying for it. And at this point, we use a Berkey water system, so not to advertise a brand that, but nonetheless, it is something that I think all homes at this point in time should have some type of setup like that, because you're going to have to filter this water. And yes, drinking a lot of water does keep me from not having the ailments that I see that a lot of people suffer. I don't pop any pills, no pills. The only time I've taken medication, allopathic medicine, let me say it like that, is when I've had the C-sections, and I've had 3, and they have to give me liquid form because my body don't even really take the pills. I try to take the capsules for the vitamins. Doesn't really work, so I need to do mine in liquid form. However, you know, it tells you in the Bibliothelios text that, you know, the healing of the nation, you know, is the herb. So that's the medicine. And then I know that Brother Africa, rest in power, had also informed us, you know, your food is your medicine is your food, as well as many of our scholars and our ancestors said the same thing. So if we just follow that and stay in alignment with that. And now to camelback on what you were saying just now, Sister Delilah, you know, what you came here to do, that's one of the primary reasons you need your blueprint, i.e. your natal chart. You need that because it gives you the opportunity to be very clear on what your purpose is and who you can pair up with. You know, it's a serious blueprint that we need to have. And if it was not of significance, then these military bases called hospitals would not be so determined to get your information like, you know, your name. So they could tie that in with the numerology science. But they get your longitude and latitude. They know the planetary places, stations. They know where the stars were stationed at when you come in. They get all that information, and they use it. They're using it in their firms like advertisement to get us to be so distracted. And then get their spy camp. That's what I call the church, you know, business. It's a spy camp. They get they get those people trained to get the masses to, you know, hand that information over to them so they can, you know, use it still to fill up the seats, and also tell the people that don't use that information it's of the devil or it's bad. Or, you know, I've had so many Christians that when you say, you know, what your sign is, oh, they get so freaked out, you know, and it's so sad because that is your essence. You need to know why you do what you do, why you're attracted to things that you're attracted to, why you dislike things. And that natal chart is so pivotal in just doing the work that you came here to do this time around. Some people may not have came to be, you know, on the path of the Moorish Divine and National Movement, but they still are those individuals that were assisting the prophet, as he stated in his author. They say, you know, if they're helping me, why not you? That type of thing. But your natal chart is very important because, I mean, it's your blueprint. You can't build a house without it.
Islam. And so I do have to ask, you know, that's when I was talking about the imperial divan, you know, well, one of the first questions I was going to ask was, does everyone know their trinity, which would be your sun, your moon, and your rising? You know, it's very critical because, like, if that is the manifestation of I, self-law, and master. You know, you're mastering yourself by knowing the blueprint of why you came here, again. You know, most of us, you know, have been here several times. Like, you know, the astrologer that I talked to, she says, I've been here 7 times before, you know. I think this is my 8th time around, you know. And she gave me, you know, what the moon was, the position of the moon when I came through, and what I'm to do here, why I'm to ask 2 questions of everyone that I encounter. I'm to ask 2 questions, you know, because I'm settling out my accounts. Because, like I said, we got to go from carnal flesh to flesh divine. Carnal flesh to flesh divine. And that's why we're here. You know, we're here to make that sacrifice towards this age, towards the growth. We're here to help towards the growth of, you know, being the one, the unity. You know, like even in the Black's Law Dictionary, the first 5 words in the law of estates, you know, because we had a vast estate, but we gave it up. And that's in chapter 1, too. We gave it up for, you know, to experience these things, the perfumes, the odors, the true sensations, and the all of love. We gave that up so that we could feel these things, you know. And like I say, you know, we need to open up that instruction book, you know, and make the comparative study. Make the comparative study. See what the Christians have to say. Because there's a difference between Christians and Christine. Christines was what, you know, that those who were around the period of Yeshua, that's what they practiced. You know, because like I saw this a Moorish Sunday school, and he asked the children, was Jesus a Christian? And they said, no, because he was a Hebrew. He was a Rabboni, a rabbi. So no, he wasn't a Christian. So if Jesus, supposedly the Christ, was not a Christian, what are we saying here? What are we giving our power away to by someone imposing? It's always an imposition, you know, because with the hybrids, they're imposition. They're imposing. They're imposing on our birthright. They're imposing on our estate. They're imposing on the land. You know, that's because we created this monster, and so, you know, hey, this is the time to rectify the situation. Not only, you know, redeem him because he has earthly salvation, but we have earthly and divine salvation. So we must redeem ourselves as well as him, you know. And as we're seeing, he's relinquishing, you know, no matter how he's fighting, you know, as he's going out, kicking and screaming as he goes out, you know, he's kicking and screaming. And sometimes scorched earth, doing the scorched earth policy, but hey, we can overpower that because, like we were talking before, magic is to cause change in conformity with will. We have that will. We have the power, wisdom, will, and love, the triune Allah. And so I yield for any comments, questions, and concerns.
Islam, Empress Delilah. I know we've been here, you know, we're immortal, and we've been here for billions of years. But I hear you say that you are aware of your 7 past lives. And you said this is your 8th one. How and when did you become aware of that? I'm just curious that if you want to share
number
that.
One,
you don't have to if you don't.
No, I do because that's how you get your ID, your identification, your identity. And this is I, self-law, and master. So everyone must become that which you say you are. You know thyself. So I went to an astrologer. She is a Sayyaraha. And so from the Great Seal National Association of Moorish Affairs. And so she looked at my chart, all right? So this is the number one thing I wish that everyone would partake of. Go to Cafe Astrology and put your time of birth, you know, the location of your birth, and your name. It's free. It's free. You can print it out. Cafe Astrology. Cafe Astrology. Put your name, the time you were born, all right? If you don't know the time, there's 2 ways of gauging. If you don't know the time, because it's specific, all law is specific. And in terms of the houses, the house placements, where the planets were when you came through and stuff like that, house placements are very critical, and the degrees, the aspects, you know, that you're here to go through. And so when she looked through my chart, she saw how many squares I had and how many retrograde planets I had. So retrograde planets means that I have already gone through those experiences previously, and I don't need to go through that this time around. I've already experienced that in my other life, my other past lives. So, you know, I got Saturn in retrograde. I got Jupiter in retrograde. I got, I think I got the closer planets, Venus and Mars. I think I have them in retrograde. So that's, you know, they're determinative of how many times you've been here. A lot of retrograde planets, all right? And I have quite a few retrograde planets. And so she gave me my list of things, and then she told me where the moon placement was, and there's like 8 placements, all right? So when I came through that Stargate, the balsamic moon was there, which is the last sliver of the moon before it goes to the new. And so in line with that, I'm just closing down all operations, and I must ask all those who I encounter, what is it that you need to ask of me now? What is it that you need to be settled now? Ask it now, so that we can do the accounting, the reconciliation of what I may have failed previously. And then the same thing to be asked of me is to be asked of you. What can I do? What am I to do? What must I share? What must I give? I don't have the paperwork specifically in front of me, but it's those 2 questions because I'm settling out my accounts. Because that's why I must do the work that I'm doing right now, because I have to settle out my accounts. I can't go any further until I settle out my accounts. And then, I'm looking at all my friends that have passed form and stuff like that, and I've been around the sun quite a few times, been around the sun quite a few times. So she shared with me, and like I say, it's incumbent to know your identity. You must be what you know. Who made you? Who made you? What constrained you when you came through this time? Which of many constrained you? So these, which of many are to represent you? Because like Brother Wilkins, you can choose to whether you want to, come back in the carnal flesh, whereas the cherubim and the seraphim chose not to. They chose not to come in a physical form, but they are there. No doubt they are there to direct us through the equinoxes. They're there. But, we get them, by astral traveling and knowing how to meditate, to get in that silent small piece of you where, you can hear sound, but there's no sound or vibration going on. You can hear, like if I tell you to say the word Allah, in your brain, Allah, you hear it. You hear it. I don't have to say it, but you hear it. You hear the word Allah to yourself. So, there's something going on there. So I yield. Are there any questions or comments or concerns, that something that I have not answered? Islam?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. With regard to, I wanted to go back to the water thing because I saw some things in the chat about water. In everyone's territory, somewhere in your territory, there is an artesian well that you can get free. The water is free. It runs 24/7. There are 2 of them in this territory that I know of. But there are maps out there that will tell you where the artesian wells are. And the artesian wells is just water that's coming straight from the earth. And it's coming up through the rocks and the minerals, etc. And it's free. So, like, at a certain, whenever I run out, I just take all of my containers to the artesian well, and in either direction, it's about 30 or 45 minutes in either direction, because there's one north and there's one south here, and you can get the water for free. I mean, the artesian wells have been running for decades and decades and decades, and they run 24/7, and the water is the best water I've had in this period. And also search out the artesian wells in your territories. It's on my yield.
It's in the area over here near the Pittsburgh Corporation. It's in the neighborhood that they call Spring Hill, and they've been keeping up the site. The community keeps up the site, but it's a trickle that comes out of the mountains. Yeah, so and they had built this little stone arc around it and everything. But yes, sister, you're absolutely right.
Islam. There's some in the different couple of different places in Arizona, but they're a long way from where I am. But a long way. But if I can get there, I'll get there.
Well, they're going to be opening others as we continue to stand up, because those artesian wells are a part of our estate as well. And so they're going to be opening up more. And I can tell you for sure that under the ground, where all of us are, if you dig, you're gonna there's wells, there's water there, fresh water there. And so as we continue to stand and to govern, those things are going to be made available in all territories at all times. So keep your eye out for them, and just keep looking for them, because they're going to start popping up everywhere. Because the only reason that they're not everywhere right now is because we went to sleep. And so as we continue to wake up, everything is being uncovered. The commercial piece is coming off of everything. So, I mean, I'm seeing it here in this territory as the water recedes, because this territory, is just like all the other territories, at one time, all of this was underwater. And now, as the water recedes, there's so much of our stuff that's being exposed, and artesian wells is one of them. The Albions have maintained it while we were asleep, but they know where all the other ones are too. They'll be opening them up as they leave. Islam.
Wow, great.
Right. Islam.
Islam. I yield. Go ahead.
Islam. I have one more question pertaining to the earth. Are you familiar with the hollow earth? Because it's a book, article or book that I read, and it's talking about the hollow earth, and there's life, and that hollow earth is here in the midst of this earth. Does anyone have any knowledge of that? Is just a article I read that is something that I just within my own spirit took to be real? Can anyone?
Islam. With regard to that, all the hollow earth is our ancestors and all of the ancient cities that have been there the whole time. But there have been events throughout time that cause the cities to be covered. And so when the cities are covered, such as mud flood, if you Google mud flood, you'll get information about times when things happen, asteroid hit the earth, whatever the case may be, and it causes a great amount of water or a great amount of mud to cover the cities. And we are sitting on top of centuries and centuries and eons of cities. So that's why the further you go down, you're going to always run into more of our stuff. Everything, I mean, there's layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of cities beneath where we are right now. Okay, and so that's what hollow earth really is and in some of those cities, dare I say, some of the living are there. Some of the ancient ones are there. And they can come up at will. They come up at will. They look just like us. And it is us, Islam.
Well, that's basically the story that I read about. It was one of the ancestors from that lived in the hollow earth had a lover up here on earth, and that he would come and visit this time.
Islam.
I yield.
Our ancestors, when they said that they would never leave us nor forsake us, that's actually literal.
Islam.
They are still here. Islam. I yield.
And with regard to that, we've allowed the hybrids to control the narrative, and impose their personages on us, or their essence on us. And I will say this again. I said it before. Why must we go to Europe in order to go to that part of a nexum known as Africa over there? Why is it that, and we have Greenland? We never, we're not encouraged to go to Greenland, nor are we encouraged to go to Antarctica. In fact, you can't go there unless you get permission from someone who's imposing their authority on us to live free as we choose. So, with the engagement that we're having in terms of freeing up the land, freeing ourselves, the physical temple, the physical body, we're also freeing the land too, so that we can explore that which was our lost vast estate anyway. It's there, but how many people have been to Greenland? How many people have been to Antarctica? How many? We're not encouraged to go there. We got to go to Europe to go to Africa. What kind of sense does that make? Why is it? There's something that's preventing us from going there, and I think it's a lie that's preventing us from going there. There's like the controlling of the narrative, always controlling the narrative. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. No, you're not allowed to do this. No, you're not to do this. You got to follow our rules, regulations, and ordinances. No, as we free ourselves up, especially our intellectual property, that our brains, our hearts and minds, when we free ourselves up, we can overcome all that anyway. We can overrule all that imposition. They're just imposing, but like we say, we're responsible for this imposition. That they are kids. They are kids, and so we got to be mindful that they're kids, because they name call, and they throw rocks, and they spit and do all kinds of things. But that's children. I mean, not children. That's kids. That's kids. That's how kids operate. And so that how you must handle a kid. How you must handle a kid. So, anyway,
with regard to Antarctica, in reality, only treaty nations can actually go there. And I would be. I don't believe that the Albions have been there. They say they have, but I don't believe they've been there. I don't believe it at all. We are the only ones who can, and we actually have to give ourselves permission to go there. No one else had the authority to give us permission to go anywhere. Okay. And so now that we are awake, at any given time that we decide to go to any of those places, we can go. Know that just like here in this territory, the jurisdictions there have always been sovereign jurisdictions, and they're not going to, that they will never not be sovereign jurisdictions. Greenland has always been on the gold standard, and the Albions who are there knew that. They've always known it. And Antarctica, the jurisdiction has never changed. It's always been a sovereign jurisdiction beyond the ice wall. And so this territory has always been a sovereign jurisdiction also. That's why they do things a little bit differently here, as far as even, quote unquote, registering property and all of that. And so it's incumbent upon us to know that even in the other territories, in reality, the jurisdictions never change. We just have to keep saying that and making that known and putting that on the record, But the jurisdiction of this land never left the sovereign. Never left us. But here I'm seeing it actually in the paperwork and the quote-unquote history of this place, that the jurisdiction here never changed, even by the Albion standard. You know, so Islam, I use.
And now I was listening to Brother Taj, you know, let me just finish this statement. I was listening to Brother Taj, and he was saying, you know, how do you tell when the modern European's lying every time he moves his lips? So he's always controlling the narrative, you know, saying that we've been here, we as hybrids have been here, we as hybrids have done this, we as hybrids have scaled the highest mountain. I can't testify to that because in a court of law, hearsay evidence is inadmissible. Inadmissible. I can't testify to any of this stuff that they've narrated, you know, nothing. And the only way that I can test as a scientist, as a Moorish scientist, is if I can verify it. I can see it with my fleshly eyes, you know. And so, you know, I yield. Was there a question?
I was just going to camelback on what the sister was saying about, you know, our minds, and I appreciate that, you know, our prophet told us, you know, or more or less made a statement of, you know, if I can just get you to thinking, and that's a mind process. And, you know, when your mind is clear, then, yeah, you know the jurisdiction you're in. Also, that whole terminology, ignorance of the law is no excuse, that is true. If you don't know yourself, then there's no excuse for that because you're with you all day, every day. I know there's a great, huge campaign to, you know, get you divested or distracted from being interested in your, you know, all of you. I know that that's out there, but the fact of the matter is this: it's just a part of the process you came here to learn about. So I was just speaking up on what the sister was saying as far as the mind and knowing our jurisdiction. I mean, the jurisdictions have never changed. You are who you say you are. You are who you always been. You are who your ancient foremothers and forefathers are, without doubt or contradiction. And if they are the first, then obviously they are the law setters. And we just have to remember that in self.
Islam. So I wish again that everyone go to Cafe Astrology. If you have not already done so, go to Cafe Astrology. And if you don't know your time, put in 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. You'll come close to the outer planets don't change, you know, very quickly. They take a long time for them to move about, you know. The inner planets are the ones that move faster and stuff like that. But you know, put in 12 noon or 12 a.m., you know, and you'll get a broad and general idea of, you know, what was manifesting when you came through. Now, my other understanding about astrology is that, say, for example, I came into an astrologer today, right now, those astrologers who are good and expert at their craft would, if I came in today and I didn't know my time that I was born, the event of me just coming in that time, the planets, the stars are in a certain fixed form right now, right at this very second. And so to take a measurement, an astrologer can take a measurement and then map out, you know, what was going on when you came through that stargate. But like I say, you know, just, if you don't know the time, put in 12 a.m. or 12 p.m., you know, you'll get a broad and general outlook of what was going on when you came through. You know, what was the north node, you know, the true north node, those kinds of things, you know, what was what was Venus doing, Mars, Mercury, you know, etc., that you can get a broad and general idea, because this is your identity. This is who you are. This is why you're here. You know, because Neptune and Jupiter, I think it's two planets that determine who you are and why you're here. There's two planets. You know, it's in the Encyclopedia of Astrology under aphorism. I think that's the term, aphorism. But it'll tell you, you know, why you're here, who you are, and why you're here. So, you know, like I say, you got to know yourself. That's what Islam is. You should know yourself. You came here to know yourself so you know what your task is. And like like in the imperial divan, there are certain positions. There's the mufti, the wazir, the vazir. There is the sayyaraha. There's the khalifa, the caliph. There's about 14 positions, all right? And they map them out, with the stars, based on the stars, and also knowing what, we got to do. Like with the prophet, I'm sort of switching subject real fast with regard to the prophet. He said, the uplifting funds. If you know the history of what he was talking about, the uplifting funds, that was the fund to go towards, generating finance for the individual who came through. There was two funds, and then also there's this other thing that, as Moors, how do we bury our dead? How do we, take care of those who come in? How do we obligate ourselves? That's what the temple was, so from the womb to the tomb. When you came in, you were recorded. Your birth was recorded. When you were decided to become obligated as man and wife, that there's an obligation ceremony. That's what happened there. There was a death tax, just in case for your family, if you veiled your form, that it would be taken care of. Your family would be continue to be taken care of. There was a lot of things that the prophet designed. The school for our children, not just Sunday school, but a school, so that we could be teaching astrology, cosmology to our children, so that we could be teaching them the lessons of life, the lessons of Islam, the history, the 7 liberal arts, all these things. The school was supposed to be there. The women's organization, and I'm seeing where the Moorish American consulate, with Sister Malo, she's offering an economic piece to it. With, let's barter, let's bargain with each other. Let's, if I got a dress and you got 12 dozen eggs and I need the eggs, I might need to give you two or three dresses in order to get the eggs. But that's the point. Transportation, getting back and forth, to and fro, so that we can mail, get information from one person, communicate to one being to another. We don't have any of these things in place, but I'm seeing the Moorish American Council get more and more in the flow of that and understanding. But it's a vast thing. We got to have a treasury. It's just like how they simulated in Washington, D.C. There's a Treasury Department. There's a Secretary of the Treasury. There's a Treasurer. All these things are part of the administrative functions that go on in the were to have gone in the temple. And like he says, if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. So these things are not going on in the temple, but the temple of your mind also. So I'm just sharing that. So Islam, I yield. I guess we'll have to. I did want to share the 101, but I want to clear the table. I want to clear the air. I want to make sure that everyone is getting the point of what the prophet had brought us, all right? Because he's got plenty of literature to demonstrate what his mindset was, how to reestablish the Moorish government, how to do it in a form and fashion, through the rudder and the sextant, through the imperial divan, But like I said, it's been an imposition. We've been imposed upon. It's still there, but we've been imposed upon. So any more questions, comments, concerns?
I just want to make a quick comment about if I'm actually watching the sound meter, and if there is noise in your background and it comes up on the sound meter, especially while someone else is speaking, I tend to go ahead and mute. So if you get muted, please don't take that personally. Star 6 when you're ready to speak at any time, okay? I just wanted to put that out there. Islam, I do.
Islam. Michelle Bay, Virginia Territory. I am interested to know about how we handle the dead. Since I nationalized, I have not experienced any Moorish American deaths or burials. I have participated in Islamic burials. And I just wanted to know, I mean, I've participated in the washing and the shrouding of our decedents, but I wanted to know if it was the same process with the washing and the shrouding process. If you could speak on that, Islam.
I could speak a little on it. It's called a janaza. You know, it's a whole ceremony, like you're saying, washing and cleaning and the body and shrouding the body and things like that. Yes. Before, in fact, I'm saying in the 50s, I remember my aunt passing, all right, and they had a parlor, you know, a parlor where they held the ceremony or the wake ceremony for her, you know. They would sit there, you know, and watch to see if she, you know, if she actually had passed form, you know, they call the wake to see if they're going to wake up again, you know, sit there and watch, you know, but you washed the body, you curled the hair, you did everything that was necessary for the body, for the preparation for the body, you know. There, in Shaka Maxim, there is a sister here who does Muslim ceremonies. I'm going to say Muslim ceremonies more so than Muslim ceremonies. And she, you know, does all that's necessary with regard to shrouding and stuff like that. She doesn't do cremations or anything like that, but she does everything else with regard to how a Muslim ceremony would be conducted. But yes, we have, you know, those who would know what to do. And I've observed on Google, I Googled it, you know, a janaza ceremony where, you know, they washed the body, they covered it, you know, and did all in honor of how the body came to them, you know. And we must get back into those sciences again, you know, because like we've lost a lot of our capabilities, our sciences. That's why I'm saying the imperial divan, which is restoration of Moorish law, how we did things, you know, how we conducted ourselves, how our customs, you know, our traditions. We've lost a lot of our customs and traditions. Well, we've not exercised them because, you know, if you don't exercise a muscle, then it starts to atrophy. So we have not, you know, done that. You know, we've lost our ability, our strength, because we allowed ourselves to sit there and atrophy, you know, instead of utilizing and proclaiming and commanding our authority, commanding that we have the authority to do as we do because we're not going to do any harm to anyone. So, like I said, I remember in what they call North Philadelphia, everyone had a parlor, you know, with the window there where you held the body there and the casket, you know. Hey, even casket makers,
Islam,
you know?
Islam, yes. But one of my biggest questions is, so our ancestors did the cremation as well as the janaza type ceremonies.
Well, all right. So we have our Hindu brothers and sisters, so they do mostly cremation, you know. So they did, you know, but they're Moors. They're still Moors, you know. That's their tradition and custom, you know. And I remember seeing somewhere where they used to put the bodies up in the air between trees, you know, and allow it to dry off, and then let the animals take, you know, possession of it, you know, and do what it is. And I understand supposedly Malcolm X, you know, they just wrapped it in a sheet, you know, and put his body in the ground. That's all. Just let earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, you know. Let it return. And it's Islam. So I yield.
Yeah, I recently lost, my mother just recently transcended and everything, and that was one of the things that was really upsetting to me, because I had to go once again to a jurisdiction or to a society that does not honor or acknowledge my society to have her final wishes taken care of, her remains. And it just upsets me that our nation is so not... we don't have the services that requires for things like that, you know. And yeah, she desired to have the body cremated and everything. Like with me, I desire to be a cadaver, you know, for any of our young students that need to learn these types of things. But where am I supposed to donate the body to? All of the colleges on this land you know, the agenda is what it is, sanctum policy. So I don't really wish to go with that. And the fact that we have this little land, a little bit of land here, I'm like, yeah, why is it that I got to put the body anywhere other than, you know, on the land that we already have?
But, you know, as we reclaim our authority, we will be able to do all those things, you know. It's just a matter of, you know, doing what we're supposed to do and not being afraid of what the consequences of what we say we're going to do. You know, if I say I'm going to do this to my mother, if I say I'm going to do this to this is the way I'm going to handle my mother's body, they must respect and honor. And I dare them to change to say anything differently, because I command. So
she's not buried as a black person. She's not buried, or she's not, you know, she's not on documentation as black person. She's not documented as African American. She's documented as Asiatic from her doctor's office, as well as their documentation that they call a death certificate, and says Asiatic on it. So that one I stood firm on.
But I'm seeing the Moorish Islam. I'm seeing the Moorish American Consulate. They devised a birth record, you know, so we can devise a death record if someone passes form. Don't, you know, we keep giving our authority away, because what if this happens? You know, hey, if I say ye are gods, chapter 82 of Psalms, what is it? What part of that I don't understand? What part of that? And then chapter John 10:34, it says ye are gods. What part of that I'm not exercising? What part? What am I saying? What if? What if I do this? What if? I mean, well, if I'm sovereign, if I am, you know, that I say that I am, who is to stop me? Who is to stop me? We got to exercise this, and I'm saying,
you're a universal
like I said,
law, so the universe is on your side.
Yes, I'm seeing the Moorish American Council take those steps toward that. Like I said, you know, the business is part of it, but I'm going to follow the prophet. He said, "Where are our schools? Why aren't we teaching our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren? Why aren't we teaching our children? This is an opportunity right now, since they got this shutdown going on. This is an opportunity for us to teach our children." Grandchildren, great-grandchildren, whatever the case may be, this is the time. These lessons must be passed on to them now, not later. I mean, we do, like Sister Light was talking, you know, she was only 5 months old when she got captured, you know, and stuff like that, you know, but the point of the matter is, you know, we got to do these things. If we say we're God, why are we sitting back, you know, and playing like we don't know what to do? Why are we sitting there and not doing what we're supposed to do? We had the authority, and that was the good news. That was the gospel that Yahshua was taking to the nations, to the four corners of the world, to all nations. The omnipotence of man, the power of truth, the resurrection from the dead. I yield.
Islam. Let me say that the reason why they are shutting everything down is because they see the demonstrations manifesting, so that our schools will be open, and so that our they have to unoccupy everything, and that is a process.
Yes.
And as you stated earlier in this call, nature abhors a vacuum. They are leaving because we're standing competently, and because we're doing things, moving in the direction of all of that happening. And I would be very surprised, and actually I can't even say that. We'll have our schools open very, very shortly, already moving in that direction with regard to everything that has to do with our nation, everything. The ancestors are giving the information, and they know that when they give the information, the Moors are going to use the information and manifest exactly what you all are talking about right now. And you already know when the sovereigns start talking about it, that means it's time for it to manifest. Islam.
Yeah, they listen. Yeah, what was that commercial, when E.F. Hutton speaks, everybody listens, so when the when the Moorish sovereign speaks.
Sovereign, Islam. Yes.
We have that authority.
Manifesting.
Islam. So I'm just sharing, that's part of the imperial divan, part of all of our government, how we got to restore the republic, all these things that we have to look at from the womb to the tomb. Everything we have to recalibrate, reset. We have to do a complete reset of what's going on because, we don't necessarily need money. We barter and trade like Sister Melo got. We barter and trade. If I got, well, if you eat eggs, I'm just using it as an example. I got 12 dozen eggs, and you got, 4 pretty dresses, and I said, well, I'd like to wear those 4 pretty dresses. Would you like to barter? I ain't got to exchange no silver, gold, or nothing. It's just that, 1 for 1. 1 for 1. Equal amount of labor. Whatever the labor that was involved in the labor the labor intensity that was involved in the development of that particular product or whatever.
It's wrong, and that's what I'm doing out here. I got a sign that says the training post out here. The people are stopping past. I've been making great trades on the things that I need. I've had people, that's all they know is the fiat, but generally, it's working out really great. We set up every day. I'm standing outside right now and we're on the call. Manning the tables, and I got, a projector out here, an overhead projector. I got a vanity for a bathroom out here. I got a tub. You know what I'm saying? I got some vases for, I got stuff that's willing to be, that I'm willing to let go of and trade. I got all these beautiful stones out here. People are totally into their stones today, and I got several trays of stones from all over the world, and the organite pyramids. Just an array of stuff. The paintings that my mom did, the dirty pours. I got the clothes that I'm making. I got the fabric shown that we got fabric here, and it's the trading post. And the people are like, "Oh, okay." I got 4 people looking at one set of masks, and I told them all the same thing: 6 yards of fabric, 6 yards of printed fabric. You can get it. That's how much. That's what it is to get these. Well, can't I just give you something? No, because that's nothing. You're trying to give me nothing for something. What I need is. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it's working. And it's working out a lot. I've made several trades. I got a beautiful wooden table so far. I got a rack coming. I got some work that's being done on the house because of the mask, one of the masks that I've traded. Yeah, and all I got to do is just continue to pull stuff out of the house and bring it out here on the lawn. And I'm also telling them to do the same thing, too, at their location. Instead of just throwing it out in the trash. That kind of thing. And we can begin to start trading amongst ourselves in our communities, bartering and doing what we need to do for ourselves because it's really coming back to that. There's just no way around it. I yield.
Empress Energy who's just, go ahead.
Islam.
Go ahead.
I have a question because I must have dozed, and it's vital because you was talking about dealing with the dead, and I had always had this thought that we were to be cremated. So what is correct? Is that true or false? Because I must have dozed on, and I missed out.
Oh, all right. It's really, it's really your personal choice, because there's a custom for cremation and there's a custom for, being buried in the ground. There's a custom. There are customs.
But what about in a casket? Is it okay to be buried in a casket? Because I'm
trying to say, we need to have casket makers so that we can make it of wood and it breaks down and goes back into the earth from ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And let's return to, let's give nature what she gave us. Give back what nature gave us. She gave us everything that there is possible, that we could think of, everything that we need, everything. And then a lot of wants, a lot of wants. And I'm finding out, sidebar, that I'm finding out I don't need a whole lot of junk anymore. I'm getting rid of a whole lot of junk that I had accumulated. I don't do those things anymore by being, within. I don't need 20 dresses. I don't need 4 or 5 pairs of shoes like that. I'm getting rid of that stuff. I'm getting rid of. It would be apropos if I had a Moorish organization to share that with. To go ahead and do that kind of stuff. And more or less I do, but I haven't been to that temple for a minute now, so I don't know. But anyway, the point of the matter is, we must. If I could just get you to thinking, you can go and save yourselves. You don't need any of these things, But like I said, you can your choice: cremation or burial. It's your choice, because this is a republic. It's a restoration of the republic, and you have the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, no matter how it is, no matter how it is. Islam,
Empress. You're just creating space for the ancestors to fill it with blood. Know that. You are creating space, and nature abhors a vacuum. And when you get rid of things, the ancestors are like, good, you made room for the stuff I'm about to bless you with. Know that. Truth. Speaking of which, I need to make some space too. Islam. I need to do the same thing.
Yes, I don't need 20 dresses no more. I don't now. I don't go nowhere like that. I don't. All this underwear and all these other things that go with that and stuff. I've been, that movie They Live. You see, buy, consume, buy, consume, buy. That's the narrative that's been drummed in our brains. That's the reconstruction of our thought process. But when you pass form, where's the need for that? And then you're leaving it to somebody else. You're leaving that burden onto somebody else. To take care of your responsibilities. Yes, there's certain things that that are hereditaments that you want your children or your progeny to inherit, but some of these things they're just going with the mindset that is now. There's no importance or value on the things that we're passing down, and we must demonstrate to them the importance, especially of books. Especially of books that this is the record. This is a record of how you can trace yourself back through the ages, and thus they know. Thus they'll know. Backward through the ages, man can trace himself. Masterminds can trace themselves, and thus they know. And so these are the records. Especially books are records of how we came this way. You came from the south, I came from the north, you came from the east, you came from the west, and we all are converging because this is uniting of Asia right now. This is the uniting of Asia. So but I'm seeing, like I said, I see the progress of the Moorish American Counselor, because I see Sister Maylo, she got that page there where, let's barter, let's trade, I finally was able to figure out on my iPad how to get to her page, and I'm seeing that, there's a line of economic development. There's a thought for economic development, because it says a beggar nation cannot achieve its higher spirituality. So we must also be mindful of that too, So I yield. Any questions? Any comments? Any concerns?
I do have a comment about the letting go of things. I remember some time ago hearing a story about a prophet who was given a lesson to the community about holding on to worldly things. And the story went, he had the last 3 items that he gave away was a comb, a bowl, and his pillow. So when he gave away his comb and used his fingers to comb his hair, and he gave the bowl away and used his hands to a cup, and he would use the cup, his hands to drink, and for the pillow, symbolic of giving away the worldly things, he would use his hands to rest his head on. And I just wanted to share that and to say that there are things that we can let go of to help us to elevate Islam.
Yes.
Also, Sister Camelback on that one, it also shows you the power in your hands. Because it took your hands to do all that, to comb your hair, to drink from, and also to rest on. The power is still in your hand. That's what I just took away from that one, too. Islam. I yield.
Islam, and also with regard to letting things go and replacing them, etc. Consumerism, we've been brought up to buy new things all the time. If we don't have a new dress for the weekend, we would go buy a new one. All of that type of thinking is corruptible thinking, because if you really, and I thought about this myself, whenever they unearth our ancestors, isn't it amazing that many of our ancestors are, the cloth that they were wrapped in, the cloth is still there? And this is hundreds of thousands of years later. The cloth is still there. It's incorruptible cloth. And we're actually moving in the direction of the incorruptible because that is our culture. And culture is not really the right word, but for lack of a better word, we're moving in that direction because that's just how we did things. That's just how we live. And those incorruptible, and again, those who do not live forever cannot live in an incorruptible, on an incorruptible earth. We are exchanging the worldly things for earthly things. Nature abhors a vacuum. So the worldly things that we give, that we think we're giving up, because, in our testing, sometimes we lose things. We think we're losing something. For example, when I was detained, they told the conveyance. We are not losing anything. We're actually gaining everlasting life. We're gaining because we're moving in the direction of the incorruptible. Our blood is incorruptible. So we have to have things on the outside that are incorruptible also. So that's why, when you think about the things that our ancestors did, they have pots and pans and things like that from 100,000 years ago. Think about that. And think about how many pots and pans we've gone through just in our one lifetime, so to speak. Everything we did lasts forever. Forever. And that is the direction that we are going in right now, and everyone, the Albions, are aware of that. And that's why they keep talking about things like doomsday, judgment, the rapture, and all of that. There's the escape hatch for them to not be here is because they can't rise in an incorruptible. And then with regard to the casket, we are only going to need casket makers for a minute, just for a good hot minute. We ain't gonna need them long. We're not going to need them for very long at all. Mark my words. I'm telling you the truth. We're not going to need them for very long at all. The only reason we even need them now is because the transition is happening and that which dies is leaving, and some will leave with that. But other than that, we won't even need caskets makers. We don't need. I mean, think about it. You know, there's not that many graveyards that are ancient. Okay, not that many. If any, their own graveyards are only going back to maybe the 16 or 1700s. You know. So anyway, I guess.
All right. Islam. The word, you know, culture is all right, because see, like culture, you know, that's the cult, you know, cultivating. When you're cultivating something, trying to help it develop, you know, but like I say, learning to use the letters as words, you know, it wipes away a lot of the bleariness that, you know, because of a certain narrative that has been conveyed to us and keeps being, well, it's only temporary, the narrative, because like I'm saying, as we rise, that narrative goes out of existence. You know, that narrative of how we didn't have the power, you don't have the force, you don't have the understanding, you don't have the willing, you don't have nothing, you know. And I got this in the physical. I got 16 cars. I got 16 houses. But, you know, hey, the houses and the cars will be there, but you won't, you know. Hey,
that's all.
You
can't drive all the cars at one time.
No.
Show off is another spirit.
Right, and then you can't, you know, I've seen someone do that ceremony where they put themselves in a Cadillac and bury the Cadillac. I've seen that, you know, use it as a casket, you know, but you know that's you know, that's insanity.
A Cadillac casket.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. Buried the Cadillac and everything. They had to get one of the bigger backhoes to bury the thing, you know, the Cadillac and all that stuff as a casket, you know. So, but anyway, you know, the metal, you know, goes back to the earth, you know, everything else goes back to the earth, you know, and recycles and regenerates, you know, and stuff like that. And let's see, what time is it? It's 48 after the hour. And like I say, I don't like to, you know, go too much further, you know, because I want to clear up everything that hasn't been cleared up. And like I said, I still want to go through the 101s, and I do want to honor Sister Melo with the 102s. I would wish to honor her with the 102s, but I'm going to, you know, leave off, you know, right now, because I thought this was important too today, to do a little bit more discussion of, you know, how we're going to, the restoration of the Republic and all the positions and all the categories that we have to fill now, because these things are going out of existence. If you know, we got to take those places amongst the affairs of men. You know, we have to take those places. We got to assume all these people calling themselves substitute days, known as governors, are getting ready to go. They're getting ready to go. So we need to take those places. You know, we got to be prepared to understand how to, you know, handle what it is necessary to establish a government. We're doing ad hoc, but you know, we need a treasury. In other words, you know, just in case, you know, well, really truthfully back that up, because like, there's a lot of stuff that's already here that, you know, that is recyclable and we can use again, like certain school buildings. But, you know, some of them I don't trust, because, you know, a lot of stuff was going on in the basements, and, you know, the pedophilia and sacrifices, human sacrifices, you know, stuff like that. Because I was asking Brother Todd, I said, do we have to get rid of the White House? Because a lot of stuff was going on in that basement, those secret chambers, those dungeons and stuff like that. A lot of vile things that were going on there. Do we need to get rid of it? You know? Do we need to take that out?
You know, with regard to that, we have to treat those places as if animals have been running through it.
Islam.
And do what we would do if animals had been running through it, because in reality that is what has happened.
Right.
So we just treat it like that, and you know, disinfect and animal spirits also. And burn the sage up through there.
We had that sage and those herbs and do those mantras and affirmations and clear that energy on up, so restore. That's the restoration of those spaces.
We actually need to do that. We need to be doing, and this is just a suggestion. I need to do it too. Is continue to seek that and have that same thing going on over our land right now. And then as we move into the places that were previously occupied by those with 46 chromosomes, we do the same thing there. We'll be in good practice there on spirit cleaning and all of that, And if anyone has any, can enlighten on ways to do that, we need as much information on that. I know the burning the sage is one, and I know there are many others that I don't know about yet, but that information.
Frankincense and myrrh. Frankincense and myrrh. Yeah, frankincense and myrrh, because I got the little charcoal burner, the frankincense and myrrh. You know how you see the Catholic priest going down the aisle shaking the thing, with the smoke, and frankincense and myrrh. Those are two good cleansers. Those are excellent cleansers, getting spirits out of the air and stuff like that, that don't belong there. They really run, spirits run if it's not conducive to the energy of the frankincense and myrrh, And there's a lot of others too. I got several books on that, but I gotta, go back to my, my books, find out what else there is, but it's got to be in line with nature, and nature's, law. So I yield.
Islam. There are many herbs that can be burnt, dried and burned, like mugwort, for example. There are many things that our ancestors used, and that's one of the things that we really have to, in my opinion, get back to in terms of learning the different herbs and the trees. They knew what each plant characteristics had, whether it was poisonous or not, what ailment it was good for, what disease it prevented and or cured. That's where we have to get back to. Islam.
Yes. Islam.
I yield. Go ahead.
I yield. No, finish your thought.
No, I was just going to say that there are several instances. There are different essential oils that can be emitted into the air. The Om, that is so powerful,
Yes.
The mind, but just thinking it. We have to know that just by us thinking it, and putting it out there, that our vibrations can reach, I can reach across the waters.
Yes, Empress. Islam. So we should have a page.
Say it again, Empress.
All I'm saying is we should have a page where we should start listing these things, the ways of our foremothers and forefathers.
Absolutely.
If we've forgotten it, because let's get a page. Like you said, food is your medicine. Medicine is your food. That's the Hippocratic oath. That the doctors are supposed to take. And so let's start doing. Let's be about it. That's because that's what the metaphysics of it is all. Let's be it.
Yes.
I yield.
Yes. One thing about the food, I just want to say, food without proper diet, medicine is of no use. With proper diet, medicine is of no need. We will return back to nature, and we have to learn what those things are, and we will. We're there. Islam, I yield.
Yes, Islam. Thank you for saying that, Empress. That we're there, because a lot of times we don't give our nation and our government, which is us, credit for already the fact that we're even discussing it means we're there. We're already there. And again, we're already moving in the direction of our godness. You know, we are our godness, and all of that is a part of who we really, really, really are. We never were not that.
Islam.
So, Islam, I yield.
All right, so
we have about 4 minutes, Empress.
Yeah. Right. So, any people, let's announce our court dates. I know Thursday is a big day for someone, and there's Friday, I believe, you know, and then Empress, like you got something on Saturday because 8 Lionsgate, 8 the Lionsgate, yeah, Islam.
This is Milton Turk Vegas. I do have a court action today at 3:30.
All right.
We got to put it on
all right.
On the stream, but it's at 3:30 today. The phone number is 425-436-6200. Access code 189766, and it's Wilton Turk 60 at Gmail. That's Wilton, WILTON TURK 60 at gmail.com.
And what time again?
Islam.
3:30.
Justice,
3:30.
Whenever you have a court action, if you'll text me to let in advance so that I can be sure to add it to the docket for that week, that would be great. And any other Moors who have court actions, those are our top priority from from my perspective. Those are the top priority with regard to all that we're doing, because it's through our courts that everything else manifests. And so if you're having court actions at all, please text them to me the minute you know you're going to do one. Thank you.
And the time again? What time?
3:30 Central Time, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time.
All right, 4:30. All right. Gotcha.
So that's
1:30. 1:30 be Western Pacific Standard Time. Western.
Yes, 1:30 Pacific.
Islam.
Yep.
All right. So we got how many more minutes? So I like I say, I did want, to continue on that journey of the 101 and the 102s, but like I said, I will divert if you have questions about any of the documents that I've been sharing with you, anything, even the Moorish prayer, we can go over that word for word, line for line, term for term, if you need anything of me, that's what I'm here. If you need anything of me, this is what I'm to do at this juncture in space-time continuum, all right? Anything.
We appreciate, highly appreciate and honor your energy, Empress. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule and your life to teach us. We really appreciate it because we need the teaching. Islam.
But it's been mutual. Let me share that, because I've learned a great deal, from the Moorish American comfort that I didn't, I was not aware of, and I took for granted and that I knew it. But that's where, again, the science of being a Moor. To understand, you got to go deeper than the superficial and the surface, And I was going at the surface level and saying, this and that, But see, like I say, Act 3 says, I'm not to to accuse falsely my brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm my brother or sister, because Allah is love. So I'm not to accuse falsely. So I had to recalibrate myself and examine what I was doing incorrectly, because I'm accusing and slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. Why would I slander my blood? You're my blood. Yeah, we have little differences and stuff like that, but come on. This is the time, so shall the forces of thy Father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. So, love. I am love, I have love, I think love, I drink love, oh, come on, we got to do this, it's our moment in time. Islam.
And Empress Delilah, you can't see the chat, but they're thanking you in the chat. The heirs are thanking you in the chat.
Islam.
and sending their love as well. Islam.
Islam. Yeah, I'm here to serve.
It
is.
It is. Much love to you, Sister Delilah. We love and appreciate you so very much.
Islam.
Yes.
Islam.
Yes.
Let them speak. Yeah, to do. I'm here. I made that vow. All right.
So it is on the hour, a little bit or 1 minute after the hour, and so we will pause and continue again next week at the same time, same place. So, Islam, peace and grand
love you.
Yes,
love you more. Love you more. Love you more. Love you more. Yes. Empire rises again. Islam.
Grand Rising.
Grand Rising.
Love, Grand Rising, Moors.
Grand Rising. Islam. Peace and love.
Grand Rising. Islam.
Islam.
Peace and love.